We're back with Joann Hennessey. Joann, I'd like to ask you about a different unpleasant subject, which is that of bankruptcy. What's happening in that area of your practice?
Actually, we've gone through a period of time when I think for probably 3 or 4 years, from maybe 2012 until really probably the end of 2014, there were record numbers of bankruptcies each year. And then last year there seemed to be fewer bankruptcies. I think it tracks the foreclosures. A lot of people have been using bankruptcy as an opportunity to save their homes. Here we are, we're located in the Southern District of Florida, which is the jurisdiction of the federal courts and of the bankruptcy courts here in Miami, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. And there's a program that's here that's actually been not necessarily piloted here, but I think perfected here, that is also in the Middle District. But they initially called it a loan modification mediation program, and then subsequently now it's the mortgage modification mediation program. But it gives homeowners an opportunity to do one of several things. One is just bankruptcy alone is an opportunity to get a fresh start. And so one of the most important features of bankruptcy, other than that fresh start, is the automatic stay. And what happens is people who file a bankruptcy, the moment you file bankruptcy, literally the moment you file, everything stops. So I don't usually recommend this, but say, for example, you have a 10 a.m. sale, foreclosure sale, and you think, oh my gosh, I got to do something, I got to see if there's any opportunity. And you file at 9 o'clock in the morning. Everything stops, including that sale and everything else. If you're having any kind of garnishment situations or any kind of collection that's happening, they're required under the automatic stay that's provided under the bankruptcy code to stop collection process. The benefit of that, obviously, is it gives you a breather. It gives you a moment to stop and to check what's going on. With the program, with the MMM program, the Mortgage Modification Mediation Program, there's an opportunity in the bankruptcy court to work with the servicers to modify the mortgage. Now, sometimes that works well, and the benefit of doing it in the bankruptcy court is that you have really a direct connection with an attorney that's working for the mortgage company, the servicer. And also there's an electronic kind of meeting place where documents are uploaded. So there's none of this that happened a lot early on with the loan modifications, with sending documents and then, oh, we don't know that we get them until 48 hours later, then 48 hours later, them saying, oh, we didn't get them, resend them 48 hours later. It became this overwhelming and ridiculous process because for some reasons the banks are very good at lending you money, but when you're in a pinch and you're trying to correct things or get things, they were not doing it well. They were in some ways it felt like they were purposefully sloppy and unresponsive, and also you had oftentimes difficulty talking with the same person on the phone. So it was a very frustrating process. In the bankruptcy process, you have an opportunity where you have really kind of almost a single point of contact. Whether it's always the same person, it generally is the same person that you're connecting with electronically.
It's interesting, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but it's interesting. Some of my friends I've heard of right here in South Florida have tried to avail themselves of these very well publicized HARP, whatever they're called, Home Affordable, the president has advertised and promoted, yet they have been given a terrible runaround for years and nothing ever happens. What's all? I
think it was HAMP was the original one, Home Affordable Mortgage Program, and it actually worked, but there's different tiers. There's HAMP Tier 1 and Tier 2, and then usually now the servicer or the lender will have their own in-house program. So they're there, but they were getting the runaround. That was people's experience, and so the benefit of doing it in a bankruptcy is that there's a better experience. There was also, even if you do this HAMP or any of the HARP, which is a repayment program, but you have to be kind of within a year of your last payment, or the HAFA program, which is an opportunity to short sell your home and get some cash for keys. Those programs still exist, and actually they're being run much more effectively now. There's generally, and I think this may be because of Dodd-Frank, but I may be wrong, but there's a requirement that they give you a single point of contact. And so what that does is that means that once you've submitted your documentation, you're going to be assigned an individual who you're going to work with, and that individual will be the person that you can go back and forth with if you have any questions. And it's actually very effective. This is kind of what I would expect the customer service of these giant multinational companies to be able to provide. Is when I call up, you know that I've spoken to you, we have a record of the conversation, and things are getting done. The issue with a lot of these things is that there's a couple of issues. One is that, I mentioned the appraisers before. During the ramp up before the recession, a lot of houses were overappraised. And so now you have a house that was maybe appraised for $200,000, but was really never worth more than $100,000. So you have these percentages where they're, with the HAMP program or the HARP program or the HAFA program, they're saying you're outside of the numbers, that the numbers don't work. And that could just be the case. So for some people, they're not going to be able to modify their home. For some people, and I said this earlier, they were given loans. I remember one of my clients was given a loan where his first payment, let's say, for example, it was $1,000, and the interest rate for the first payment only was 2%. But the change date, which is how they named them in these mortgages, was 45 days out. So his second payment, there was already a change in the payment. So by the time he paid his first payment, he was able to make. By the time the second payment came along, he was not able to afford that loan. It was outside of his income. His income was never going to be that. Now that's an extreme, but a lot of these loans have that kind of situation where you have somebody that's making $40,000 or $50,000 that's in a $300,000 or $400,000 home. They're just not economically able to afford that home.
What I find interesting is there's so many attorneys who are doing med-mal cases and estate planning, but you chose an area to really protect individuals, to protect people, civil advocates. Tell us a little bit more about your motivation in the area of practice you've chosen.
Yeah, I actually like the consumer protection, and this kind of falls squarely within that. I think that consumers are, we're the ones who are, not just buying at the stores, which, there are consumer issues that we're able to raise with people who just are buying at stores with cash. I mean, there are things that these companies can do or will do or have done that violate an individual consumer's rights. But once you get into credit cards or student loans or even with the mortgages, you find that consumers have less ability to make a good judgment about whether this is a good purchase or not. And so kind of with that foundation of being interested in consumer rights and consumer protection and the fact that people can pull the wool over a consumer's eyes and get away with it. But there are things that a consumer can do. Once you get into the mortgages, you've gotten into an area where, first of all, it's not negotiable. You either get this mortgage or you don't. Generally speaking, when people buy a home, although I think they should get a lawyer, they don't. But even if they had a lawyer, they get to the table after they've put their life savings into the deposit to purchase the home, and they're past the any clauses to get out of this mortgage. And they get to the table, and the mortgage company has presented a mortgage to them that's untenable, that they can't afford, and they don't understand. But they want this home, and they don't want to lose their life savings.
So they're victimized.
They're victimized, and so doing this, is really consumer protection on a much larger scale.
Now, you and your colleagues are a rarity, actually. Unlike so many other firms that are all about profit, you and your colleagues are reputed to be very, very much involved in the ideology of the cause, really wanting to help people. And that's rather unusual and wonderful. Tell us a little bit about, again, more about your motivation personally.
I appreciate that, because I do really care about what I do. And I think that the people in this field really are passionate about these arguments and have worked very hard to get the right results for homeowners to the best of our ability. And I feel that the group of people that I'm working with now at Civil Justice Advocates, we fight very hard to come up with the most clever arguments, the most viable arguments, and to really fight the banks so that either we can help somebody save their home or get the best result, get a good loan modification, get a good result, so that when they're done with the case and when they walk away, that they feel not only good about their result, but that they feel good about Civil Justice Advocates and the work that we've done for them.
They certainly should. How can people reach you?
My office number is 954-677-8888. I can be reached there. I also have a website, www.cjapl.com. I'm available for a free consultation anytime somebody has some issue come up. And like I said, I have a very creative group that has researched many different things, and we've come up with good arguments to help save people's homes, or to help people at least get the best result that's possible for them.
And you practice in Dade County and Broward County and other areas, I presume?
Yes, we do. We do the bulk of our practice in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County.
Do you have a final message for our audience at this time?
I guess my message would be that this is if you're filed a foreclosure, or if you're having trouble with creditors, including harassing calls, that there may be something that you can do about it, and that you should at least consult an attorney. And I think we do free consultations. Bring your information, bring your concern to our attention. If there's something that we can do to help you, we will help you. And if there's something that you can do to maybe help yourself, we will certainly direct you to do that.
Well, I want to thank you so very much. This has been very informative and illuminating. So much of it unpleasant realities, but it's good that there's some people around like you and your colleagues who care.
Thank you.
I'll be right back.